What's up, YouTube? I'm the Nice One, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some character rigging, actually. Someone in the comments left a question about how I might rig this particular model, which I thought was a valid question, and so I want to try and get back to them. And hopefully this will be helpful for y'all as well. And let's get into it. So, there's a couple things we first need to do to make this character quote-unquote riggable. Not even riggable, just like more friendly for rigging. And the first is we need to make this whole thing a single mesh. And what I mean by that is right now, this entire character is made up of a bunch of overlapping meshes. To create the shape. So like each object is like its own box, and I sort of overlapped it to create this final shape of like a character wearing Phoenix armor. Right? And that's why when I was zooming in here, you'll see that there's like stuff that sort of intersects with like other pieces of the mesh and creates this thing, like an overlap, an interior face. And so when you're rigging, having these overlapping meshes can be kind of problematic, to be honest with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and combine this into one mesh. And Blender makes this pretty easy to do. So first we're going to select the whole thing, and then make sure that we're going to select the whole thing, and then make sure that one of these is selected in the front. So for example, I'm going to shift click this top head there, and then you'll notice that the head is outlined in a different color than the rest of the body. We want to make sure that one piece in this mesh, it can be any piece really, we want to make sure that one of these pieces is sort of like the parent mesh that everything will be merged into. And so that's what this is showing. This is sort of the parent mesh. Great. Now that I have everything selected, I'm going to go into mirror. I'm going to do Control J to join it. Oh, you know what? Here is another tip I forgot to show you. If you have not yet applied all your modifiers, you can go to Convert To and go Mesh. And then that should convert everything into a mesh and remove any mirror modifiers or subdivision modifiers you have applied. So coming back here, I'm going to select the whole thing and make sure one of these is selected in the front. Control J to join them. You'll notice also in the bottom right corner that I still have my shortcuts appearing for you. And there we go. Now they're joined, but they have yet to be properly combined. You'll see that there's still some overlap on the interior faces, right? Right here. So to do that, we're going to select this joined mesh, and we're going to go into the modifiers, and we're actually going to use a remesh modifier. When I click that, it might take a second to load. So, oh no, that was actually pretty quick. And basically what the remesh does is it takes your entire model, and basically using some algorithm tries its best to combine everything into a single object. So if I zoom in here now, you'll see that everything has now been combined into a single mesh, and it's almost entirely hollow on the inside. This is kind of messy a little bit, but you'll see that it's entirely hollow on the inside, which is the effect we want, right? Now, obviously this isn't the highest detail, but you can control that over here. So you have various different remesh options, but I always just use voxel. Your default remesh size or voxel size is 0.1 millimeters. This controls your resolution. So the lower this is, the higher the resolution you have. So you can put this to like 0.01 and you'll get a really high resolution remesh effect that combines all of your objects into one and doesn't lose any detail. Like you wouldn't get this effect here where things sort of look almost pixelated. The only reason I'm not going to do that now is because my computer is not super strong, and it would take a while for me to remesh this at a higher resolution. So I'm just going to leave this at 0.1, but if you want a higher fidelity, go 0.01 or even try 0.05. Like try different resolutions to get the one you want. Anyway, once that's applied, we're going to go here into the modifiers and we're going to hit apply, and that might take a second. Okay, cool. So now you'll see that this mesh is a single mesh and is entirely hollow in the inside, which is exactly what we want. So the next up is now we'll actually rig this character. This guy is ready to be rigged. So first off, we have to make sure we have the proper add-on enabled. So we're going to go up here into Edit and go into Preferences. And then from the Preferences window, we're going to check add-ons. And we're going to search something called Riggify. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could rig this character. There's a lot of online tools that you could also use. But Blender comes with a built-in add-on that makes rigging very easily. And that's called Riggify. So every instance of Blender, almost every instance of Blender at least, should have Riggify available as one of its default add-ons. So all you have to do is check this off if you don't have it. So for most people who've never done this before, you might see this as disabled like this. So just click check here and then click check here and you should be good. You can refresh to make sure you're good and then close out. So now you should have the Riggify add-on enabled. And what that means is we can go start building the bone structure of this character. So we're going to do Shift A and we're going to hit Armature and we're going to do Basic Human Meta Rig. So this comes from Riggify and it basically gives you a basic human skeleton that you can start weight painting your mesh onto so that you can start animating it. So if I hit this, you'll notice that I get a small one, and I'm just going to scale it up to generally about the right height. Maybe hit GZ to scale it up to move it up on the Z axis, and position it as best as I can to align with this character. Now, I need this to be in X-ray mode so I can see the underlying mesh. So you just hit this button right here, toggle X-ray in your top right corner of your 3D viewport. Toggle that, and then you should be able to see through your mesh, and you can see your underlying skeleton here. Now all we have to do is just position all these bones in the proper place. We just have to position these bones in the proper place. So hit Tab, have your mesh selected, hit Tab, and now you can start editing the bones. I'm going to delete some extra bones. So I'm going to delete this and maybe delete this. Click X, delete that. And I probably also don't need these ones down here, the heels. So I'm going to delete those. And if we look this way, yeah, feet, legs, arms, head. Okay, perfect. That's looking pretty good. So to make our life a bit easier as well, I'm going to select my mesh, go into edit mode, and then I'm going to turn on mirroring here. So mirror on the x-axis. What this does is when I move a body point, it will be perfectly mirrored on the opposite line of symmetry. So kind of like the mirror modifier, that x-axis symmetry does the same thing. Now something you might want to do is go here into the bones. Here, yeah. Where is it? Constraints. Oh no, we haven't done yet. Actually, no. Yeah, go here into the bones, and you'll see the labeling of each bone. So here, upper left arm. If I click this one, I should see forearm left. I should see this hand left. The reason I want to do this is because I want to click this top one. It's usually going to be labeled spine.006. You probably want to call that head, just so you don't get confused. Now, I'm just going to position all these things in the right place. So I'm going to shift, I'm going to mouse drag to select these two circles here, and then I hit G to position this basically where I want the shoulders to be. So somewhere about here. And then I'm going to select this circle here and position where I want the elbow to be. Essentially, each of these circles represents kind of like a joint on the character where you can expect them to sort of bend and move, right? Bend and distort. So here is my wrist joint, and then here would ultimately be the end of my hand. If you wanted to, you could start extruding out here, like adding bones from here using E to make additional bones, and you can make bones for each of the fingers, but I'm not going to do that for this guy. Move this around a little bit, make sure this is sort of aligned nicely throughout the character. Let's take the hip and the pelvis and move it to about here. Let's take the sort of crotch and bring it down to about actually here. Now, I know that in real life, his crotch would probably be around here, right? But for this mesh, because it's hollow on the inside, I'm actually going to put it right here because that'll make weight painting a little bit easier for me after that. And weight painting is essentially the process of adding weights onto the mesh so that it knows what bones associate to what part of the mesh. And you'll see that in a second here. So here is the sort of the abductor, and then this is probably where your knee is, and then this is probably the bottom of the foot. So I'm going to maybe do something like this. That may go down like this. And then here is the front of the foot, so I might want to go top view or even front view and maybe shift this over like this. Maybe go to the side view and extend this up to be half. And then this one, this tiny little circle at the very front is the toes. So I'll bring this like that right here, and there we go. So now we have the legs properly positioned. I might move around the torso. The torso is split into a couple of pieces, and I might just split this a little more evenly down the body, so that makes a little more sense. And then I'm going to take this head piece and scale it up. I'm going to scale this way up so that it makes sure that it covers the entire head, because we're doing sort of like this chibi style character. I'm going to maybe move around the neck pieces right here to be a bit more accurate. And then let's look at the top down. I could probably move this elbow down. Maybe move this wrist like here. Maybe move the end of the hand like that. And there you go. I think that's a pretty good weight paint, or I think that's a pretty good layout of the underlying rig. Perfect. So next up, once you're done, once you're happy with that, all you have to do is select the mesh you want, the mesh that you are mapping to, and then select the underlying rig by shift-click, and then go Control-P to parent, and then you're going to go with automatic weights. So I'm going to click this. It might take a while, so I'll be right back in just a second. And there you go. So if this if this applied its weights properly, I should be able to click this rig here and go into pose mode. And if I move this, I should expect to be able to see the head to move as well. So hit R. There you go. Yeah, nice. So you'll notice, let's look at this. Let's double check some stuff here. Okay, cool. Looks like the arm is moving pretty well. Looks like there's a little bit of weirdness. Oh no, actually. Oh yeah, looks like the arm is moving nicely. Let's see if the head is going. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Okay, cool. And then we should notice that the head is not moving exactly as I want. I noticed that the wings here are not perfect. So if you wanted to fix that, you would just have to go back into object mode, select this mesh, and then go into weight paint mode. And then come down here to your data properties here and select the head, the piece of it that we labeled head, and then just paint in the area here that was not selected for the head. And so I might just go and let's do that. Let's maybe bump the radius up on this and just paint this head a little bit. Yeah, just like that. There you go. Make sure all of this is assigned to the head, and that's perfect. Just do a little bit of touch-ups like this. Helps a lot. Yeah, make sure I get some of this back here. Down here. You could also honestly use the gradient tool as well if you wanted to. I'm just using the basic brush because I think that's good enough. And there we go. Yeah, I think that's fine for what we're doing for the purpose of this video. And now your head should be fully connected. All the pieces of the head should be fully connected to the head mesh, or the head rig. I'm just trying to make sure I hit all of the vertices I want to hit. Maybe paint this a little bit, paint this guy a little bit as well. And we should be good to go. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Alright, great, cool. Now let's go back into front view. Let's go back into object mode. We'll select the underlying rig, skeleton, and then let's check to make sure that our head is moving. Yeah, perfect, there you go, nice. And now turn off your X-ray. Go back here and turn off X-ray on your object, and you should be good to go now. So that's how I would rig this particular character. I'll be honest with you, because I'm not too sure how I would get a perfect animation where like the skirt here moves, the skirt moves sort of in sections, like how you might expect a skirt move. My best theory, or I haven't tried this yet, but I guess if I were to approach that or try to do that, I would probably select this leg here, go into my bones, maybe go into my weight paint mode. Sorry, object, go here, select weight paint, and I'd come into my data and I'd go into my upper thigh, maybe my left upper thigh. And to be honest with you, I would probably just assign this entire skirt piece to that bone. So this whole thing would be red. And then when you go down to the shin left, none of this would be selected. So that's one way I could suggest trying it. I'm not sure that would work as well because this is now a single mesh. It works better if they were separated, but give that a shot. If I do find another way of weight painting this, I'll send it over. But for now, this is how I rigged it. It looks a little like, what's the word? Kind of rubbery. So tweaking your weight paint will help with that, because you could assign a little more severe mapping, like the red. You can paint some areas more red than others, and that would make the mapping a lot harder, or not harder, but like more solid. And yeah, there you go. So that's how I would rig this character. Hope that was helpful. Leave any comments or questions down below if you have any more thoughts. Tell me if you solved the problem, how to get this skirt to move exactly as a skirt probably would. Let me know. I would love to know what your advice is there. Yeah, anyway, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for watching the video. If you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below what you want to see next, or just check out some of these other great videos. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.